going on, streaming peeps? Saying hello. Actually, I should be waving here. There you are. Yeah. I'm in a mood tonight. There we go. What do you mean? Who'd you take? And away we go. Monday edition of the Cash In, SportsMap Radio. The SportsMap Radio app. We got a lot to do over the next 3 hours. It's a Monday night football night on the show. Boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. Yep. We got our eyes on the Bears and the Patriots over the next couple hours, well, hour and a half or so, and then we'll get into the post game. We'll have some post game reaction from you from the podium when it's all said and done. Of course, so much to get into from Week 7 around the NFL. We'll get into the live betting around the Monday Night Football game. Maybe we'll slip in a little NBA if there's some late games to talk about as well. Kenny Albert will join us later in the hour, about 33 minutes from now. Play-by-play voice for the NFL on Fox, one of their main guys there. Also does play-by-play for the NHL on TNT. And he does play-by-play for the New York Rangers on the radio side. It's a dude who just has way more frequent flyer miles than any human should ever have. So that's what we got coming up for you in this hour of the show. Is this what the league wanted when it says it wants parity? We'll get into that in this hour as well. As I said, a lot to get into over the next 3 hours. You're welcome to take part in the show. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. You can tweet at the show as well, at the back page. Again, hit me up on Twitter with anything you want to hit me with at the back page. I'm trying to stay upbeat. I'm trying to be cheery. This was not a fun weekend. Yankees got swept by the Astros, which was not fun at all. I'm sure at some point tonight, our producer engineer back in Houston, John Belmer, will be jabbing me about that. Not fun. It's just a terrible way for your season to end. It's like you're going 100 miles an hour and then you run into a brick wall. That's what happened to the Yankees. So we'll get into that at some point during the show. And my bowling tournament didn't go as planned either. I'll tell you all about that later on. But we'll talk Week 7 of the NFL as we continue on the Cash In on SportsMap Radio next. Yeah. It's the reason one of my favorite parts of doing radio is the formatics side of it. Oh, I live for it. I live for the thrill of going right up against it with the clock. I do. It's awesome. It's the ultimate high wire act, man. If I'm not off the air, I'll be off the air one way or the other. So I know I gotta hit it. Stop talking. No, I live for having the music under me. Oh, bought some baseball cards this weekend. I got a few things. I'm taking off my headphones for 1 second. I gotta grab something. Why are you farting so much? Huh? Why are you so gassy? Ugh. I got my dog just walking around the house farting at random. Just stinking up the joint. It's like a dead animal crawled up his butt and died. Tonight, he just had regular food. Tonight. Can't speak for what else is in there. Well, who'd you take tonight? Did you take anybody tonight? Did you take Mac Jones? You idiot. So did I. I'm just as much of an idiot. Yeah. Yeah, you got to get it in the IPO fit and before you got to get it before kickoff. Yeah, it's really you just have to get it before. You have to get guys before the game starts. Trying to buy guys during the game gets cost prohibitive. It just doesn't work because everybody tries to sell them for too much. Like my mistake was I went and I took the bait on Mac Jones thinking, yeah. We're keeping our eye on Monday Night Football. 23-14 Bears. Wow. And you know what the funny part about that is? Just before they threw it to Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on the game broadcast, just before they did that, they do the thing where they say where the betting money is going on the game, and 62% of the money, as far as Caesars Sportsbook was concerned, just before kickoff, 62% of the money had gone on the Bears. And Adam Schefter mocked everybody who took the Bears tonight. Mocked them all. And now it's 23-14 Bears in the third quarter. So Adam Schefter, great reporter, not the best prognosticator. Stick to the reporting, bub. Grab some pine, bub. I'm going to open up some baseball cards and sports cards during the show tonight, during the breaks, I think. So if you guys are ones that love to see somebody pull something great, maybe I will. Who knows? Grab some 2021 medals, Skybox Universe Champions. Could have some autographs in that. Little Panini Prism baseball. I don't know. Do that during the breaks tonight. All right, so week 7 in the NFL, right? Again, good luck trying to get a feel and some sort of sense for where the league is right now and trying to understand who's doing what. It's next to impossible. I think we've all kind of figured that out by now. The one thing we do know, and the big stories of the weekend, not to be overshadowed, by the way, of from the news of today, where there was a big trade. The Jets, who are saying, you know what, man, we're going for it. On a 4-game winning streak, they win in Denver. It hasn't been pretty. They don't have much offensively. They lose their running back. They go out and make a trade today. I'll get to that coming up in a few minutes. And then the Colts made a big decision today. As far as their franchise is concerned, and it's one I actually respect. Some people are kind of hammering them for it and thinking that it's them throwing in the towel on the season. I don't think it is, and I'll explain why. But let me begin with I think it's the obvious at this point, and that is the fact that we have to, and we talked about this on the show last week. I was off on Friday, but when we were on during the week last week, we talked about this idea of you have to stop assuming that guys are simply going to turn around because of their name, because of their reputation, because of what they've done. That we have to stop with this mindset of, well, it's Tom Brady, so at some point it's got to turn around. Or it's Aaron Rodgers, so it has to turn around. I got news for you. I can give you lots of guys that at the end of their career looked average to sub-average. Not everybody gets to walk off into the sunset with some grand exit where everything goes great and they walk off as champions. Some people make decisions to stay in the game longer than they should, combined with the fact that their teams don't have a ton of talent. And when that happens, you get what you have right now with Tampa Bay and Green Bay. Two teams with quarterbacks that could probably still play. Look, if you took Tom Brady and put him on Kansas City with their offensive firepower, or Miami with their offensive firepower, by the way, remember, there was a thought of him going there. Or, I don't know, take a good offensive team, Cincinnati. Now, if you took him and put him with a lot of good guys, a lot of good, talented guys around him, I guarantee you Tom Brady would still win. The problem isn't the way Tom Brady is throwing the ball. It's not all of a sudden he's 45 and he can't throw the football a certain distance or with certain zip on the ball. It's none of that. It's the fact that the talent around him isn't performing up to par, and he's got an average head coach at best. Todd Bowles is an average NFL head coach. That's all there is to it. Byron Leftwich should have been the guy that got that job, but that's another topic entirely. And then in Green Bay, you have a surly Aaron Rodgers who's had all this rankling with the team over different things over the last couple of years. And as much as I don't want to defend Rodgers, because I think he's kind of a doofus, and like I said, if it wasn't for the fact that he could sling a football really well, he'd be standing outside a Target in Berkeley with a joint in his mouth and doing nothing more. But again, putting that aside, what I think of him personally, and just looking at from a football perspective, I've said this a million times before. The Green Bay Packers knew Aaron Rodgers was coming back. They chose to let Davante Adams go. They've chosen not to surround him with enough offensive talent. Randall Cobb is not getting it done at this stage of his career. Allen Lazard is not a top-flight wide receiver. And he does not have the talent around him at this stage of his career. He can only elevate these guys so much. And his frustration level now at this point, it's almost at the level where I don't see any positive way for them to turn this around with the talent that's currently in place. You've watched them lose 3 games in a row. The offense looks uncompetitive at times. You got them flipping around balls at the end of the game to try and salvage something against the Washington Commanders, who are not a good football team. I haven't even gotten into the aspect of the fact that the Buccaneers lost yesterday to a Carolina Panthers team that has basically given up on the season, starting their 3rd-string quarterback after dealing one of the top running backs in football when healthy. We haven't even gotten into the fact that they've lost to such terrible teams, both of them yesterday. So we have to officially stop. We have to stop treating the Buccaneers and Packers like they're good football teams simply because they have future Hall of Fame quarterbacks. They're not. They're bad football teams. They're not average football teams. If you've watched anything over the last 3 or 4 weeks of these teams, frankly, if you've watched the body of work over the entire season, they're not good football teams. They're not average football teams. They're bad football teams with great quarterbacks. That's it. Nothing more. And there's even some discussion to potentially have about whether or not, Brady and Rodgers are still great quarterbacks. Are they good quarterbacks? Are they above average quarterbacks? But I'm going to give them the respect they deserve for what they've accomplished in the game. But I'm done giving them respect and picking games and analyzing games as if these guys are going to be able to elevate the games of players that are just not that good around them. I'm done. Tampa Bay scored 3 points in Carolina yesterday. I mean, the Packers had, I think, 220 yards of total offense, some god-awful number like that. I'll give you the exact number. I want to be right. 232. 232 yards of offense for Green Bay. I mean, I've said this about Tom Brady. I don't think he's going to make it the whole season. I don't see any reason for him to continue to play. He has nothing to prove. He doesn't owe anybody anything. And again, I'll say the same thing about Tampa Bay that I've said about Green Bay. You knew Tom Brady was coming back this year. He only retired for about 5 minutes. You knew Gronk wasn't coming back. You knew a lot of the offensive components that made this team a success from a year ago were gone. What were you planning to do as a franchise? And I get there was turmoil there with Arians going upstairs and bringing in Todd Bowles to become the head coach. I get all that. But it just looks like, from the Green Bay and Tampa Bay standpoint, it's a failure from the very top of the organization all the way down to the guys on the field. The entire thing looks like a failure on both of those teams. What do you think? 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. You want to tweet at the show? You can do so at the back page. Again, hit me up on Twitter at the back page if you got an opinion on anything from week 7 in the NFL. Chicago with the football, 4:52 to go, third quarter. They have a 3rd and 8 on the New England 37, leading 23-14. Boy, all you knuckleheads that took Chicago, 62% of you on Caesars Sportsbook that took Chicago. Adam Schefter thinks you're an idiot. And he basically treated you as such tonight during the pregame. How'd that work out? Every single person on the Monday Night Football pregame broadcast picked the Patriots. And that's why you've got to take it all with a grain of salt when these people talk about being experts. It's great you're a former player. It still means you know nothing about who's going to win a football game when every single one of you picked the Patriots. And who knows, maybe they'll come back and win. It's the Bears. They're not very good. But it's 23-14 Chicago right now. 2-4 Chicago. Maybe we now know why Bill Belichick did a 7-minute monologue at the beginning of his press conference last week talking about how great the Bears were. Maybe he knew something we all didn't. Matt Eberflus starting the turnaround in Chicago with Justin Fields. We'll talk about it some more coming up in a couple of minutes. 1-800-224-2004. Is this what the league wants when it says it wants parity? We'll get into that, plus 2 big moves in the league today. One internal and one team making a big trade. That's next on the Cash In. I'm Jason Page. It's SportsMap Radio. Changed my own name to Jace Page. I don't care. I don't care what anybody calls me. Yeah, some people call me Jay, some people call me Jason. I don't really care. Yeah. You have to get it before the cutoff time before the game starts. And when it gives you a suggested price, pay it. If you want the player, pay it. And then the best strategy I have found is just hold it. Trying to buy and sell during the game is kind of silly. If you have a player you're confident in, you buy it and you ride or die with it. That's what's happened for me. Tonight I made the wrong pick. You were able to sell Mac Jones? Did you get peanuts? Yeah, I'm getting crushed on Mac Jones. Oh, good. I bought 2 shares of Mac Jones, and that was a horrendous mistake. Yeah, I'm an idiot. It's the same thing as fantasy. You really just have to. I just zone in on a couple of players I like. What I've done with baseball is I get 4 players. I get 2 on each team. I get 1 like real favorite, like a guy that is projected to do well, like a Bryce Harper or something like that. And then I get 1 guy at the bottom of the order who's really cheap and I get a few shares of that in case that guy performs really well. And I do that for each game. And I've done well on baseball. In what way? Somebody beat the Jazz? They aren't going undefeated? $26 past the hour. 26-14 Chicago on top of the Patriots. Oh, amazing. Kenny Albert coming up in about 15 minutes. The play-by-play voice for the NFL on Fox, one of them. Also, he had the Buccaneers-Panthers game this weekend, so we'll talk to him about that. Maybe we'll slip in a hockey question as well. Does play-by-play for the New York Rangers, also the NHL over on TNT. Son of the legendary Marv Albert, who I got a chance to interview about, I think it was 9 years ago. I don't know if it was 9 or 10 years ago. It was before an Olympics that I got to talk to him. I was working for NBC. And he was a bucket list item to interview Marv Albert as a kid who grew up doing play-by-play, grew up in New York, listening to the Knicks and all, and watching the Knicks. I mean, Marv Albert was an institution. And to be able to grow up and then interview somebody you kind of idolized as a play-by-play guy was just out of this world. Hey, if you haven't done so yet, sign up for Jock MKT. It sounds like Jock Market. That's because it is. Much like the stock market, instead of buying Intel shares or shares in Microsoft or Apple, you can get shares in your favorite athletes each and every day. It's a different spin on fantasy sports. They offer live daily markets for sports that let you buy and sell shares of athletes in real time with other users, all for real money. And each share has a guaranteed payout at the end of the night. Bid on shares before the games in the IPO phase and then trade shares live while the games are happening. All shares have a guaranteed payout at the end of the night. They're currently live in 36 states with more to come for NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, PGA, and NASCAR. Now here's what you got to do. Head over to the Jock MKT app or go to jockmkt.com and deposit with code CASHIN to receive a 100% deposit match bonus up to $100. Promo code CASHIN, CASHIN, one word for a $100 deposit match up to $100. Your first market will also be free with losses refunded up to $100. And here's what we're doing for the rest of this month for first-time depositors here on the Cash In. I'm giving away $100 of my own money to one lucky first-time user that uses my promo code CASHIN. Here's what you do. Make your deposit using my promo code, then direct message me a screenshot on Twitter at the back page. Again, on Twitter at the back page. You do that, you're entered to win $100. No strings attached. We're going to draw the winner on Halloween night here on the show, but you have to make your first deposit using my promo code CASHIN, CASHIN, and just shoot me a screenshot. You do that, you're entered to win $100. We'll give it away on Halloween night. That is Jock MKT. Download the app or head over to the website, jockmkt.com. Use my promo code CASHIN. All right. There's no way the NFL could like what's going on right now, looking around the league. That you literally have two teams atop the AFC in Buffalo and Kansas City. Maybe some will try to make the argument now that the Bengals are sort of that next team in that tier right below them. And then in the NFC, you have Philadelphia, who's 6-0. And I know the Giants are a great story at 6-1. But the reality is, I still don't know how many people would take their hard-earned money and put it on the Giants to even reach the NFC Championship game, much less reach a Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl. And we all know Minnesota at 5-1 are big-time frauds. Other than that, you look around the league right now, it's just a whole mishmash of 4-3, 3-4, 3-4, 2-5 football teams. And there's just not a lot of separation between them. I mean, I put the likes of, not a Kansas City, a Tampa Bay. I put the likes of a Tampa Bay and a Green Bay right now with an Indianapolis or an Atlanta or a Carolina. I mean, the NFC South right now, the NFC South as a whole is 10 wins and 18 losses. Think about that. The division. Not one team in the NFC South right now has a point differential that is better than dead even, and that's Tampa Bay. They've scored 124 points. They've allowed 124 points. I mean, this is just bad. It's not like, you've got, 10 teams that are 5-2 or 6-1, and then a bunch of bad teams, where at least we could say, you know what, man, this is going to be fun when we get to the postseason. Right now, the way it stands right now, you're going to have a bunch of bad teams in the playoffs. You're going to have a bunch of average to subpar teams playing in the postseason. Because remember, the NFL has expanded the postseason because we have to get more football games and we have to have more money and people want to see more teams and great. But you're going to have bad football teams playing in the postseason as it stands right now. The AFC is certainly the superior conference to the NFC. That's not even up for debate. At least you've got Los Angeles at 4-3, Kansas City at 5-2, Tennessee at 4-2. The Colts are, maybe not the Colts. Cincinnati's 4-3. The Ravens are 4-3. Although I don't buy the Ravens at all. I think they're frauds too right now. I mean, the Browns had every opportunity to win that game yesterday. You get a suspect pass interference call against Amari Cooper. That kind of leaves you scratching your head. The Jets are 5-2. Does anybody buy the Jets right now? They're winning with total smoke and mirrors. I mean, they're 5-2 and the Bills are 5-1. If you put them on the field right now, the Bills would be a double-digit favorite in that game. On a neutral field, the Bills would be a double-digit favorite in that game. You know it, I know it. And then, like I said, in the NFC, the Eagles, Giants, and Cowboys are sort of holding up the conference. The Vikings are 5-1, and then there's only one other team above 500, and that's Seattle. There's no way this could be good for the NFL. I don't know if it matters to the fans, though, and this is what I'm curious to know. 1-800-224-2004 if you've got a thought on it. 800-224-2004, and on Twitter, at the back page. Because we're going to get to Kenny Albert in a few minutes. But if you guys got a tweet on it, shoot it to me on Twitter at the back page. Here's what I'm trying to figure out. Does it matter to the fans? If it's bad football, if it's good football, if it's just football, you don't care. As long as it's football, we don't care if it's mediocre, if everybody's record's the same. As long as my team gets to the playoffs, or as long as my team wins, or as long as it's helping my fantasy team, or the team I bet on, whatever it may be. That you just don't care. Again, I call this league bulletproof all the time. I think it's probably bulletproof to bad football. And this year, it's just bad football. There's no getting around it. It's bad football. Point differentials I was just talking about. In the NFC, I mean, this is astonishing. In the NFC right now, 5 teams out of 16. Think about this. Think about it. 5 teams out of 16 teams in the National Football Conference have positive point differentials. I mean, that's astonishing. There's never been a year where you saw this much red in the differential department. And in the AFC, it's not much better. It's a little better. Half the teams have positive point differentials. there's no way that's a good look for this league. This is supposed to be the preeminent football in the entire world. I mean, this is supposed to be the best football in the world, right? People from around the world watch the NFL. They're not watching the CFL or any of these other leagues. They're watching the NFL. And if you're looking at it right now and looking at the standings, you're saying, where's the beef? Like the old lady in the Wendy's commercial used to say, where's the beef? There's no beef. It's just, it's the Junior Whopper right now that you're getting from the NFL. And you keep waiting for it every week to get better and get better. But like I just said with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers and Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, maybe after a while we have to stop accepting or start accepting that this is just what the league is this year. Maybe it's just one of those years. Maybe it's an anomaly. Maybe it's just an anomaly because in my lifetime I've never seen the league this bad as a whole. Let me know what you think. On Twitter at the back page. Kenny Albert coming up on the other side from the NFL on Fox, the NHL on TNT. The cashing continues on SportsMap Radio. I got Kenny on this side. All right. We do continue on this Monday edition of the program. Of course, you could always be involved in the show. The phone number 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Tweet at us as well at the back page. One of the guys I love talking to is, play-by-play guys are, a lot of them are all kind of the same. We do. We do continue on this Monday edition of the program. Of course, you could always be involved in the show. The phone number 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Tweet at us as well at the back page. One of the guys I love talking to. Play-by-play guys are. I mean, a lot of them are all kind of the same, and so I don't generally get a lot of play-by-play guys on. But one guy I've basically followed for a long time and love his work, especially having grown up on the East Coast, is Kenny Albert, who does a terrific job. You can catch him on Fox Sports on the NFL broadcast. He also does a great job with the Rangers on the radio side, which he's been doing for 100 years, and also on the NHL on TNT as well. So, I mean, there's all sorts of places. Chances are, if you turn on a sporting event one night during the week, Kenny Albert will
So, that's certainly been an issue. The offensive line, that's been well documented. Looks like he's been getting rid of the ball quicker just because of the situation up front. But no, I mean, that's well documented. What I saw yesterday, looks like he's been getting rid of the ball quicker just because of the play at a high level. And I think he targeted Evans and Godwin about 30 times combined. And they both had, aside from the drop, they both had real strong games. So, again, it's a long season. I think 2 years ago, like I referenced a minute ago, Jason, I think some of these same questions were being asked about the Buccaneers, and then they went on that tear towards the end of the season.
You've seen plenty of teams this year. Matter of fact, I don't think you've had any repeats yet, if I'm not mistaken. Looking at,
we've now had Carolina twice.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you had them against Arizona.
I think I'm trying to say we had Detroit twice. As well. We had Detroit, New England, and Detroit, Washington early in the season.
Yeah, it was kind of fun.
7 weeks, we've seen 12 different teams in 7 weeks.
It was kind of fun because I was going through your schedule and thinking about all the miles you've logged flying around. I was looking at all.
And it gets worse the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It's been a cakewalk so far, but the next few weeks with the overlap, you don't even want to know the itinerary.
No, I would imagine. I picture you sometimes being on the air, and I've done play-by-play, so I could just imagine when you're throwing a break, just throwing to the wrong thing. Like, oh, you're listening to the Rangers radio network, like when you're doing a Knicks game or you're doing a football game or something, or a game on TNT.
There's 1 week in a couple of weeks. There's an L.A., Edmonton, San Francisco. Within the stretch of 5 days. So at least that's all somewhat west, but there have been some crazy ones through the years.
I'm sure it is. Talking with Kenny Albert, Fox NFL, NHL play-by-play voice with the Rangers, also on TNT. Who do you have this week, by the way?
We have Atlanta, Carolina, so we'll get to see Carolina again. We have Atlanta now 2 straight weeks. We have Atlanta Panthers and then Atlanta Chargers. And then we head west for the Rams in Arizona.
And Atlanta's been
all these games. Obviously, major impact with Atlanta tied for first, and the Chargers above 500. Then we have the Rams the next week. So should be some interesting games.
Kenny, people thought Atlanta were going to be prolifically bad this year. And they've surprised people. I know yesterday wasn't their best game, obviously, in Cincinnati, where the Bengals. I mean, they've covered, up until this week, they had covered every game, which means they've surprised some people.
They have. And we had them the first week. They had a 16-point lead over the Saints in the fourth quarter and lost. So, they were certainly down after that one. But they did come back with a couple of big wins, some surprising wins. And, these division games are always a battle. So we'll have them against Carolina this week. And then the Charger game should be interesting. I haven't seen the Chargers in person in about 8 years now, given that they're in the AFC. And, these days we do see more AFC teams on Fox, but that wasn't necessarily the case, prior to the last couple of years. So, no, you're right about Atlanta. They've been somewhat of a surprise.
You've been doing Rangers games on the radio for damn near 30 years, which seems impossible. Expectations exist for this team that haven't existed in quite a while. People think of them as a Stanley Cup contender. How have they responded thus far in the early going?
Well, you're right. The fact that it's close to 30 years is hard to believe. I started in the 95-96 season, 18 years with my current partner, Dave Maloney. They are certainly, in most people's opinion, a Stanley Cup contender. They had a great year last year. Went to the conference final, as you know, lost to Tampa Bay in 6, had a 2-0 lead. They came back from 3-1 down against Pittsburgh. They won a Game 7 in Carolina. And the goaltender, a huge reason why, Igor Shesterkin, who won the Vezina last year. They have a great young defense core. They have superstars up front, young players, improving each and every year. So it's a fun team to watch. They've stumbled a bit over the last 2 games against San Jose and then Columbus last night. But it's a big week, and looking forward to the 2 games. I'll have the radio call tomorrow against Colorado, the defending champs, and then along with Eddie Olczyk and Keith Jones, we have the Rangers Islanders on TNT Wednesday night. So it should be a fun couple of days.
How have you enjoyed the TNT stuff?
It's been great. A lot of the people that moved over to TNT were over at NBC, so many of us work together, but it's such a fun crew. Eddie and Jonesy are great to work with. We went through the Western Conference Final last year. We'll do the Stanley Cup Final this year, which we're all really looking forward to. And then having the studio crew out on the road during the playoffs and opening week this year with Wayne Gretzky and the entire gang, that's just a lot of fun. And, NBC did such an unbelievable job. I'm biased because I was there for 10 or 12 years covering hockey. They really raised the bar. They were the first network in the United States that put every playoff game on TV. They introduced the outdoor games and the inside the glass position, which led to about 30 or 40 jobs around the league. And then with the new deals with Turner and ESPN, both looking to raise the bar even higher. So it's off to a good start this year. We should have a great game on Wednesday, and it's a terrific group to work with.
Kenny Albert does a terrific job. Fox, NFL, NHL on TNT, the Rangers radio, the Knicks on MSG. I don't know. Probably left something out, but that's all right. He's got plenty of gigs to keep him busy. Kenny, I always
might try and find a curling match somewhere next week.
I'm telling you, man, I can't even imagine logging all the frequent flyer miles. But listen, it's always good to catch up with you. I like to do it once in a while. I know you're really busy, so I try not to bother you too much during the season. So I really appreciate you coming on for a few, and hopefully we get to do it again down the line.
Thanks, Jason. Anytime. Really appreciate it.
We're back with more of the Cash In on SportsMap Radio in a moment. But I'm curious to hear what Bill Belichick has to say. The problem is he doesn't say anything. And, a lot of people mocked him for this 7-minute speech he gave about them last week to open one of his press conferences. And maybe he knew something we all didn't, because he was giving them a lot of credit last week when a lot of people were basically laughing off the idea of the Bears being any good. And look, I'll say this. The Chicago Bears are going to be 3-4. They will have the same exact record as the Packers, the Buccaneers, the 49ers, the Cardinals. It's a lot of 3-4 teams. Teams that you think are really good that are really not. I mean, it's wow. It is something else to see where we are right now through week 7. And here's the bigger problem now for Bill Belichick. You basically threw in the towel on Mac Jones tonight, whether he'll say that or not. Jones made one bad interception, made a questionable decision on a throw, and the Bears picked it off. And he went to Bailey Zappi, and then Zappi gets a touchdown drive on a great catch by Jacoby Myers. So he decides he's going to stick with Zappi. Now Zappi imploded and looked like the Bailey Zappi that probably most of football thought he was, which was why he was drafted in the 4th round to begin with. So you go and make the decision to go back to Zappi. Now what do you do if you're Bill Belichick? You got Mac Jones, who's probably sulking, whether openly or inside. And you've got a Bailey Zappi as your starting quarterback. Oh, and you're about to go to 3-4 and be dead last in the AFC East. Nice job with that. Hasn't gone very well for Bill Belichick since Tom Brady left, has it? We're back with more of the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. That's how we roll. Keep rolling, rolling, rolling. Cedric, keep rolling. Why would you think I wouldn't know that? Yeah. Wrestling? Dude, I'm kind of a closet wrestling geek. I watch just enough to know what's going on because the demographic that listens to sports radio is very much the demographic that watches wrestling, so I want to be able to speak their language. No, you couldn't care less about wrestling. Yeah, because if you could care less, then that would mean you actually do kind of care. Yeah. Just trying to help you out there. That's why I'm here. All right, hour 2. It's a hell of a win for the Bears, though. Because pretty much everybody left them for dead, and myself included. Like I said, in a league with a lot of mediocrity in it, though, you can snap off a few wins and you're in the mix. Listen, there's a lot of really... Did you just hear the numbers I gave? There's a lot of really bad teams in the league. I don't know. I'd be curious to see what their the Bears' schedule looks like after this. Let's see. Let's go through that. How much did you deposit, if you don't mind me asking? Yeah, see. Yeah. It also, I'll tell you the other thing I like about baseball versus doing the football is baseball players are cheaper. Yeah. Yeah. Good to be hanging out with you. Second hour of the Cash In, SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. Glad you decided to hang out with us tonight. We will have complete post-game reaction more than likely in our final hour of the show, but maybe some later in this hour, to what's happened in Foxborough tonight with the Patriots getting mollywopped by the Chicago Bears. And that's just the best way you could say it. Mavericks off tonight? Looks like they are. So hello to our friends listening on 97.1 The Freak in Dallas, flagship station for Dallas Mavericks basketball. The Knicks got their first win tonight. Hey! Knicks beat Orlando 115-102. First win for the Knicks. And John Belmer informs me, our producer engineer John Belmer informs me, the Utah Jazz lost their first game tonight. They will not go 82-0. You are not the father. And the Jazz will not go 82-0. Despite everybody thinking they were going to be the worst team in basketball, that includes me. They actually lost tonight to a team that will be one of the worst teams in basketball this year. That's the Houston Rockets. Houston 114, the Jazz 108. Kevin Porter Jr., 26 in the win for the Rockets. So there you go. But the Mavericks have the night off. Dallas got a win yesterday. And look, I told all of you they weren't going to go crazy throwing the football around. They were going to be conservative with the offense, let Dak Prescott get his legs under him, get comfortable. He's been off for several weeks. And Dallas is figuring out their identity is that defense and just make enough plays. And I said it last week and I'll say it again. When you look around the NFC right now, we've already seen them go toe-to-toe basically with the Philadelphia Eagles with Cooper Rush at quarterback on the road in Philadelphia on a Sunday night. Would it shock you at all if Dallas could beat them at home later on? Is it going to shock you at all if Philadelphia loses a couple more games between now and the end of the season? Dallas is going to be right there for the NFC East. I'm not saying they're going to win the division, but they're going to be right there. Along with the Giants, who you now have to take for real whether you like it or not. It wasn't pretty the way they finished it out yesterday in Jacksonville, but they win again. And at some point, you have to accept that teams are what their record is, with very few exceptions, the Jets being one of them, the Vikings also being one of them. If you watch the Giants right now, this is a good football team. It's not a great football team. It's not a Super Bowl contending football team, but it's a good team. Saquon Barkley's over 100 again, and it's just about every week you can say that now. And Daniel Jones is becoming a dual-threat quarterback. He ran it for 107 yards yesterday. And he slung it for 202. And boy, they've got to be scratching their heads, not to belabor Jacksonville too long, because at this point they're 2-5, and everybody was gaga about Doug Peterson when this team was 2-2, including me. And in watching this team, the way they were able to move the football, they were doing some things on the defensive end. But now here they are, they're 2-5 again. And as an organization, you've got to just start to wonder, is there any turning this around? This felt like the year they went out and spent a ton of money. Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk and Marvin Jones Jr. and all these different offensive weapons to put around Trevor Lawrence, and now all of a sudden you're 2-5 again in a bad year around the NFL. A chance where you could have still won this division, and look, they still could. The AFC South is a joke. But, I mean, it has to be perplexing for people in that organization to try and figure out, where it's sort of gone wrong through the first 7 weeks for Jacksonville. They've lost some close games, and yesterday was another example of that. By the way, how about this number on the Giants? They are now 4-1 this year when trailing going into the fourth quarter, or trailing in the fourth quarter. Look, those are the signs of a resilient football team. Giants are 6-1. It's insane. It really is. So the Bears are going to win tonight. They're going to be 3-4, right? And I was just saying to John Belmer during the break, who's producer engineer on the show tonight, I said, I'm just kind of curious to look at the Bears' schedule. You come off a win like this and you start to feel like, what, maybe we've started to figure some things out. Maybe we now know a bit about what our identity is. Maybe Justin Fields can kind of do this. Although tonight's his 17th NFL start. I mean, he's just officially completed one full season worth of games. I'll tell you what, I give the kid credit because he's taken a lot of hits. He's gotten beaten up a lot and still figures out and manages ways to, stay out there and stay on the field. And tonight, able to make some plays and make enough of them for Chicago to win. But their upcoming schedule, hello Cowboys fans, at Dallas, that's a loss. Wait and see how that Dallas defense handles them. Then they're home. The Bears are home for the Dolphins, home for the Lions, at the Falcons, at the Jets. So, I mean, even if you're Chicago and you feel great coming off this win, you're still legitimately a 6 or 7 win team if you're lucky. 6-11, 7-10. That middle of the road, which means you may not get one of those top 3 quarterbacks that are out there, which means you're still stuck with Justin Fields unless you figure out a way to trade up. Ugh, man. Talk about a quagmire. I mean, that's what it is inside the Bears organization right now. You don't know what's going on with your stadium situation. It's a mess. But I mentioned the Cowboys, and they got a win in week 7, 24-6. And look, Dak was efficient, and I said it before, and I'll say it again. The only thing you need of Dak Prescott is make a few plays and don't throw the football to the other team. And with that defense, that's going to be enough to win you enough games that you're going to get into the postseason. And like Bill Parcells always used to say, that's the second season. Then you kind of figure out what you need to do week to week to beat the opponent that's in front of you. And Dallas is figuring it out. It wasn't pretty yesterday. It wasn't high-powered. It wasn't, what you saw with Cincinnati and Atlanta where the Bengals throw up a 40-burger on Atlanta, or 35 on them, 35 burger, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't have to be that. There just needs to be enough wins that add up at the end of the regular season that you're in the playoffs. All right, fine. Maybe you don't have home field if you play the Eagles in the postseason. But when you look at the rest of the NFC right now, Dallas winning 10 or 11 is certainly going to get them a home playoff game probably. When you look around at the rest of the conference and what's sitting out there in front of you, Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott basically team up for about 140 yards of rushing. I like it. I'll keep saying it. I'm still buying in on the Cowboys. I had also been buying in on the 49ers, and after that performance yesterday, as much as I want to believe that the addition of Christian McCaffrey is going to be a huge game changer for them, man alive, did they look bad yesterday. And I know some of it was Jimmy Garoppolo. And you got to play the game, and you have to play your offense a little bit differently when Kansas City is hanging up all these points on you to the tune of 44-23. And I've called San Francisco a Super Bowl caliber defense. They didn't look like it yesterday. But the Dallas schedule, by the way, now at 5-2 on the year. They're home for the Bears, at the Packers, at the Vikings, home for the Giants. That will be an enormous game on November 24th. Home for the Colts. Home for the Texans. Then they finish with at Jaguars, home for the Eagles, at the Titans, at the Commanders. Dallas is going to win 11 or 12 games. They're good enough to win 11 or 12 games. And if they don't, the fan base should be disappointed. You're getting healthier. You've got Dak back now. You got this game against the Bears, and then you get 2 weeks off before you play the Packers. And I'm telling you, this thing is set up so good for Mike McCarthy and company to set this thing in the right direction. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Tweet at the show, as always, at the back page. Again, hit me up on Twitter, at the back page. It's a final. It's over in Foxborough. 33-14 Bears all over the New England Patriots. Justin Fields, 13 of 21 for 179 yards. Ran for a touchdown, threw for a touchdown, also threw an interception. The Bailey Zappi show went horribly wrong. 14 of 22 for 185 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions after he supplanted Mac Jones as the starter. Patriots offense tonight. You ready for this? This is bad. This is hard to watch. 260 yards of total offense for the Patriots at home tonight. Basically got outgained 2-1 or 3-2, if you will, by Chicago in this game. 3 interceptions by Patriots quarterbacks. 4 turnovers in total. And you've got to wonder now what is left of the Mac Jones era with the Patriots. How do they salvage him after you pull him and his replacement basically dies a slow death, figuratively speaking, in front of a national audience? 800-224-2004 on Twitter, at the back page. In this hour of the show, I will do something I will rarely ever do with this platform, that is mix politics and sports. The best betting story of the week is coming out of Houston. I will tell you what that is, and we'll get into a little college football as well. That as we continue with the second hour of the Cash In. I'm Jason Page, and this is SportsMap Radio. Nah, that's way too easy. That's like shooting fish in a barrel. Like, dude put himself front and center behind home plate. Come on. That's a guy. No, that's a guy who wanted it. It's a troll job. He's trolling all of us. Yeah. Ugh. I will not. One of the vows I made when I decided to come back to sports radio after taking about a 6-year vacation, one of the things I vowed is I would not mix politics and sports, because when I left the air in 2016, it was right in the height of the 2016 presidential election with Donald Trump running for president and all that stuff. And I said, I will never mix the two again, because there was just so much conversation about Trump, and, Tom Brady had the Make America Great Again hat in his locker and all this. So everything just started to blend together with sports and politics. And I said, when I launch this show, I'm just going to stay away from it. In terms of, on the radio. What I do on my own Twitter feed or Facebook or whatever is different. I don't mix the two. So I don't want to mix sports and politics, but I'm going to for just this moment, because one person who has put themselves out there and is running for office, running for Arizona governor, in fact, is a woman named Carrie Lake. She used to be a TV reporter in Arizona. And now she is running for governor of the great state of Arizona, where I will be in a couple of weeks for a bowling tournament, and where we will be in February for the Super Bowl. I'm planning to do some shows from down there, and we have an affiliate there in Phoenix. Carrie Lake was on a talk show being interviewed. Might have been earlier today, might have been last night. But this topic came up about what Carrie Lake will do, because the NFL has threatened to pull the Super Bowl out of Glendale if some of her immigration policies calling for confronting migrants with United States military troops at the border, and it's one of the topics du jour around the country, is how we handle the border and the flux of immigrants and asylum seekers and those wishing in some cases to do harm to the U.S. That come through the border. And Carrie Lake, that's one of her big calling cards, is how she's going to handle the border. Well, Carrie Lake was a guest on this show and basically said, she talked about fentanyl and said she's willing to shut down essentially the NFL Super Bowl in order to implement this proposed Republican border policy, which includes confronting migrants with armed troops. So don't look now. There may not be a Super Bowl in Glendale this year. And if you think there isn't a precedent for this sort of stuff, all you got to do is look to Charlotte, where the NBA said, oh, you want to do a bathroom, do this crazy bathroom law, which basically, barred transgender people from using the bathroom that they want to use. And again, you could be on whatever side of this issue you want. The NBA made it clear, though, if you do this, we're going to pull the All-Star game out of Charlotte. And the NBA did exactly that. They pulled the All-Star game out of Charlotte. So if you don't think there's precedent for the Super Bowl to get pulled out of Phoenix, think again, because the NBA has already shown themselves willing to do it. Now, I don't know if Roger Goodell and NFL owners have the same backbone. In fact, I don't know if the NFL has any backbone, because they're really kind of akin to jellyfish. Jellyfish don't have backbones. Neither do snakes, actually. So maybe it is that the NFL will capitulate and just say, we're talking a good game, but if Carrie Lake decides to, if she becomes governor, and in the month that she's governor, because remember, she wouldn't be sworn until January, the Super Bowl's in February. In that month, she could sign some executive order that says, hey, we're going to put, military troops down at the border. Well, if she decides to do that, National Guard, armed troops, whatever. If she does that, it'll be very interesting to see if the NFL says, okay, we warned you, and moves the Super Bowl. Now, you think about everything that comes with the Super Bowl, and there's a reason I bring all of this up. And it's not meant to be political. You can stand on whatever side of the issue you want for whatever reason you want. It's why we have elections in this country. I get it. I worked in politics long before I ever worked in sports talk. I was a director of communications, get this, for a Republican mayor. So before anybody attacks me as some partisan hack, you'd actually have to know something about me. And I was a news anchor long before I was ever a sportscaster or sports talk host or any of these things. But what's very interesting, if I told you, ready for this? Hey, John Belmer, I'm gonna put you on the spot, and I'm sorry if I make you sound like a village idiot. That's not my intention. If I told you to guess how much money the Super Bowl brings to a city, I'm not even just talking about taxes. I'm just talking about in general revenue for hotels, local businesses, employees. If I said, guess a number, how much the Super Bowl brings in to, say, LA last year, what would you say? Yeah, everything. How about $500 million? I mean, it's a number that's so big. And look, if somebody had asked me, maybe I would have thrown out the number you did. I don't know. I get to ask the question, so I don't have to sound like an idiot. But $500 million to hotels, local businesses, employees, and so on from the Super Bowl. Because you think about it, it's a whole week. You know, people don't just come out for the weekend. A lot of them probably come out and spend the whole week, that sort of thing. But $500 million to hotels, local businesses, employees, and an additional $20 million just in tax revenue for the city of Los Angeles. So if you're Kerry Lake, the first thing you're going to do is come in and cost your city the Super Bowl and all that money and basically put businesses out of business, because I will guarantee you there are some businesses that have already factored into their bottom line for this year the money they know they're going to be able to make in Phoenix, in Glendale, Mesa, Tempe, all these different area, Chandler, all these areas right around Phoenix that are going to make this insane amount of money. They know it. They know what they're going to be able to make this year. You know, and they've built that they've sort of baked that into the cake this year in a place like Phoenix and said, hey, we're going to be able to keep the lights on this year. We're going to be able to keep all these employees because we know at the end of the year, there's going to be early next year, there's going to be this huge windfall of revenue that comes in from the Super Bowl. And now Kerry Lake says, you know what? Putting troops at the border is more important. Super Bowl wants to go somewhere else, go somewhere else. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm just saying keep it in mind when you go to the polls. 1-800-224-2004. 1-800-224-2004. You want to tweet at me, go ahead at the back page. Send me your worst. I've seen it before. I'm sure I will see it again. But it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in Phoenix if she goes and does what she's campaigning on. If she goes and does what she is campaigning and promising to do, there's a chance the Super Bowl does not wind up in Phoenix this year. Or in Glendale, as it may be. Seems crazy to think about, but it could happen. That is how we wrap up this segment. Some betting talk. Mattress Mac is back in the news. Oh, there's always a good Mattress Mac story. Keeping an eye on NFL postgame, too. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Stay with us. Oh, you got to wait and listen. That's the tease. Come on, man. What do you think? This ain't no amateur hour. Jesus. Why do you think we call it a tease? I got to keep you engaged, too. You and Brian are very engaged. That's what I will say. You guys are both engaged. I wish all of the board ops were engaged. I like both of you guys. If I could have both of you guys working on the show, I think it'd actually be a lot of fun. Yeah, I know. He was kind of a recent addition, right? Yeah, because he was with Odyssey, right? Yeah, he's a cool dude. Yeah, problem is it is a part of it though, you know? I mean, she's made it a part of it. Jaron Duran. Okay. Just type me in the text message. And again, I'm not looking to get overtly political here. It is a story that transcends both sports and politics when the gubernatorial candidate in Arizona says, I'm going to do something that basically the NFL has threatened me not to do. And look, there's something to be said for how much leverage do you allow sports leagues to have too? You know, these sports leagues that often go to cities and hold them hostage for taxpayer dollars in order to build stadiums. I mean, there's a lot of angles to this. It is not a simplistic sort of one size fits all solution. I'm not suggesting that. I'm simply making it known that the Republican gubernatorial candidate in Arizona has basically said, in the face of the NFL saying, don't do this, she's saying, I'm going to do it. And it may cost you the Super Bowl. I'm just telling you. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm literally just giving you the message. I could play her audio, but I think that would be a little more than this audience needs than to hear it. If you want to find it, you can go find the audio of her talking about this exact topic. And that's fine. I'm not asking anybody to. I'm not even really taking a position on it. Yeah, I have an opinion on who I would vote for, but it's not to me about that. This is just what this candidate happens to be saying. Richard in Arlington, Texas, with Jason Page on the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. How are you, Richard? I'm doing well. Thank you for the call. What's on your mind? I agree. Yep. I don't disagree with you that the problem at the border is one that I think Democrats and Republicans alike have kind of tripped over themselves trying to figure out how to solve it. I don't think anybody's come up with a good solution on it yet. And again, I appreciate the call. I'm not saying you can't be for Kerry Lake. All I'm saying is, and you know who said this? Barack Obama is somebody who has said this. Elections have consequences. And there is a real possibility. This isn't a scare tactic or anything. I'm just giving you both sides of it. The NFL says if you do this, we may pull the Super Bowl out of Arizona. And Kerry Lake is saying, I'm going to do exactly what the NFL is saying not to do. And I agree with you. There is a conversation to be had about how much power sports leagues have over public policy in our states. There's absolutely a conversation to be had about it. It's a much bigger conversation. I appreciate the call. I'm not saying who anybody should vote for. I'm just telling you. There's one candidate in this race. This is, Katie Hobbs is the other, and you could think what you want of her, however you want to decide who you vote for. I'm just simply giving you the sports side of it along with the political side of it and putting the two together. All right. Mattress Mac is back in the news. And even John Belmer, our producer engineer extraordinaire working on the show in Houston, said to me, Jason, what did Mattress Mac do this time? Isn't that what you asked John Belmer? And I'm gonna tell you. Now, you might recall in 2020, Mattress Mac's bet on the Super Bowl. He bet $3.25 million on the Astros to win last year's World Series, which would have made him $35.6 million. This year, he has $10 million on the Astros. And he's just 4 wins from making $75 million after they swept the Yankees to win the ALCS. The only thing that would be between him and what would be the largest recorded payout in legal sports betting history are the Philadelphia Phillies. A guy named Mattress Mac might have the biggest legal sports betting win of all time. How's that sit with you? You ever been? Does Mattress Mac have a store? Like, have you ever been to the store? Have you been to the store? Is it cool? Is it a fun place? Like, is there any sort of shtick to it or anything? So he's a good dude, though. So he's somebody I should be rooting for. Okay. So that's Mattress Mac. He sells mattresses. He sells mattresses and uses his earnings from those sales to place astronomical amounts of money on sports bets. Who knew the mattress business could be that profitable that you could just throw $10 million on the Astros to win the World Series? I'd like to meet this guy. I got some things he can invest in. What? So if you... But if he wins, nobody has to pay for their mattress. This dude is off the chain. I'm looking at a picture of him. He kind of looks like the Emperor. Wow. That's wild. See, I mean, these are the kinds of characters you need, man. These are the kinds of characters you need in the world of sports betting. It is. That's exactly what it is. It's John Belmer, smartest thing you've said tonight. That is FU money. It's absolutely that. But you know what? If the guy does good things for the community, it's not like Floyd Mayweather Jr., who just flaunts it and recklessly spends it, and he's not doing these sorts of things. Maybe he's doing something for charity, but he certainly isn't doing the things that Mattress Mac is doing. So that's cool. Good for Mattress Mac. By the way, if you hear rappers in the background, I apologize, Belmer. I know it's not very professional of me. I'm opening baseball cards during the show tonight and trying to organize the rappers. 2022 Topps Chrome hobby box. We've still got 2 autographs to unveil from this box, so we'll see. Maybe we get something really cool. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. You want to tweet at the show, go ahead and do it at the back page. Again, on Twitter, at the back page. So we go from Mattress Mac to something that I've talked about in the last week or two on the show. I've started to bring this topic up because forever and a day, there have been conspiracy theorists who watch pro sports or collegiate sports, and when the result doesn't go the way they thought it would go or hoped it would go, or if they have money on it, they wished it would go, they all go, tinfoil around their head conspiracy theory. Oh, it's fixed. How many times have you been at a bar or at a water cooler conversation or in the lobby of your building or on lunch break in the break room and somebody says, "Did you see that game? Oh, that had to be fixed." You get it all the time, especially when somebody says that, the next thing you should ask is, okay, how much money did you lose on the game? Or was your fantasy guy in there? Whatever. Well, in the case of the NFL, this is not a good look if you want to be mindful of the fact that people already think games are fixed. 2 NFL officials might be in some hot water due to what they did after the Panthers' 21-3 victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Week 7 on Sunday. According to NFL media, the league is reviewing an incident, which was caught on video, and I've actually watched the video today, involving side judge Jeff Lamberth and line judge Tripp Sutter. By the way, who names their kid Tripp? See, Belmer, is that like a Southern thing? Like who names their kid Tripp? You're setting that kid up for failure. Okay. Well, Tripp Sutter and Jeff Lamberth may be in some hot water with the league. A video shot by a reporter in Charlotte appears to show the 2 officials approaching Buccaneers wide receiver Mike Evans in the tunnel of Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte and asking him to sign something. And again, I have watched the video. I'm literally watching it right now. He's walking back towards the locker room. You see the official flag him down and come over with another official, and the 2 zebras hand him something, and he autographs both of them and hands them back to the officials. Now, it doesn't look very good. Tom Pelissero of the NFL Referees Association, CBA, says game officials, quote, shall not ask players, coaches, or any other team personnel for autographs or memorabilia. I mean, it's pretty black and white. I'll say, as somebody who's a member of the media and has gone to a million sports events, something on the back of all of our press badges says the same thing. You do not ask for autographs. Now, while it's, of course, unconfirmed, the video does not lie. It appears to show both officials asking Evans to sign something. You can see other Buccaneers players and assistants walking by as the situation played out. Now, with that said, the Buccaneers lost the game. Evans had 9 catches, 96 yards, dropped that big first quarter, surefire touchdown. And obviously there wasn't anything untoward that happened that cost the Panthers the game and would make it look like the officials were doing anything in favor of Mike Evans or the Buccaneers. But the problem is the appearance. There's going to come a game, or there may come a game, where some pass interference call and one of these two officials are in the game. It might be a year from now. It might be 2 years from now. It might be 3 years from now, where Mike Evans goes deep. Somebody gives him a little light tap on the arm. Pass interference is calling. Oh, who was the official that did it? And you know who the official will wind up being. It will be Trip Sutter or Jeff Lamberth. And all of a sudden, we're going to have a controversy. So I think these guys may have just disqualified themselves from continuing as officials in the league, or ever being on a game that Mike Evans is on at the very least. Because whether or not it's harmless, who knows? They might have been getting autographs to give away to a charity, to raffle off or something. It may have been that innocuous. But the mere appearance of that impropriety is going to make it problematic for them to carry any sort of credibility around with them around the league. And now it's on video. So now other players have seen it, other officials have seen it, other coaches have seen it. How do these guys ever get back out on the field again? I wouldn't let them back out on the field. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. You want to tweet at the show? Go ahead. Do it. I dare you. At the Back Page. Hit me up on Twitter. At the Back Page. We'll come back, wrap up this hour of the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. How do you know? But you don't know. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Nope. That's what I'm saying. Imagine doing something that stupid and throwing away your career. Yeah, when you consider what the outcome of the game was and everything, absolutely. I just pulled a Jacob deGrom card, number 2 of 50. Yeah. Yeah. It's nothing. Yeah, it's all right. Julio Rodriguez auto, Bobby Witt auto, Wander Franco auto, Jeremy Pena auto, although I don't even know if Pena has a card because I don't know if they got him in there or not. Mullins, Kirilloff, Darvish, the Adams. This box has 2 guaranteed autographs. But I mean, so many times they wind up being, garbage relief pitchers and stuff. Too many times. I don't have much luck. Yes, absolutely. I mean, the box cost me $170. Oh, here's the auto. The first auto. Of course, it's a pitcher for the Nationals. See what I mean? Francisco Lopez. Yep. Relief pitcher. Such garbage. God. Getting set to put the wraps on this hour of the show. Final hour right around the corner. We have not touched the baseball yet tonight. I've been holding off as long as possible because it was not fun if you were a Yankee fan or a Padres fan. There's no getting around it. It was not a fun weekend any way, shape, or form. But that's baseball. At the end of the year, there's going to be, one winner and 30 losers. That's the nature of the beast. Yeah, I'm sure. If you're an Astros fan, you're loving this run right now. I mean, the sad part is people are glowing and gloaning and droning on and on about the Astros, but people seem to quickly forget. If not for Scott Servais over managing in that American League, the American League Divisional Series, Houston's probably already home watching. They don't even get to the ALCS. They would have been down 2-0 going back to Seattle for Game 3 if Scott Servais doesn't mismanage that series. You could say that's sour grapes. That is 100% fact for anybody who watched that series. He completely blew it. I mean, the Mariners, they had him. They beat Justin Verlander like a drum in Game 1 of that series. Game 2, they're up with their best pitcher on the mound. I mean, there's no getting around it. Astros were fortunate to get out of that ALDS. They have taken advantage of it since, though. There's no getting around that either. Let's get ready for another hour of the Cash In post-game sound right around the corner for Monday Night Football, too. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Bleeping Astros. Should have been home. Yankees should have been playing the Mariners. Vlad Guerrero. Oh, God, no. They would have been down 2-0. That series was over. Over. Well, we're about to find out what my final auto is. Oh, really? This bad? Jesus Christ. I got 2 Washington Nationals pitchers. Like, how does that happen? So bad. Oh, my God. That's so bad. They're worthless. Your autograph is just as valuable. And then I get a Carlos Correa numbered card to $3.99 with him in an Astros jersey. What good does that do me? So bad. Yes. Yes. Yeah, because he's not there anymore. Okay, then you buy it. Oh, yeah. See? What an awful box. Jesus. So bad. Now I got to post the pictures to my card group that I'm in on Twitter. Watch people laugh about how bad my luck is.
And figure out what we want to do for the game. And Coach Belichick was very good about communication, and felt like I was good to play, and we had a good plan there, and just obviously didn't play well enough there. And Coach Belichick was very...
That you were going to be the starting quarterback tonight?
Yeah, I think we had a good plan as always, just to go throughout the week and figure out what we want to do for the game. And Coach Belichick was very good about communication, and felt like I was good to play, and we had a good plan there, and just...
Well, it's obviously a poor performance tonight. We were badly outcoached, outplayed. Just didn't do anything well enough in the game to have a chance to win or deserve to win. The Bears did a good job. Outcoached, outplayed.
It's so much more fun to hear from the losing coaches than it is the winning coaches. I got Mac Jones and Belichick post-game. But I won't do that in this segment. Or I could do it in this segment and do the baseball in the next one, too. Do it either way. Final hour of a Monday/Tuesday edition of the show. Thank you, Chad Erickson, for loaning us your amazing pipes, introducing the show. So I just opened up a box of 2022 Topps Chrome Baseball Hobby Box. You get 2 autographs per box. What do I get? 2 Nationals pitchers. Give me the worst team in baseball and 2 pitchers on top of it. Like, come on. This is why I don't buy cards anymore for myself. Just not even worth it. Got a Jacob deGrom numbered to 50 and some Carlos Correa card numbered to 299. Useless. Belmer, what question did you ask me that I almost bit your head off for? Yeah, nobody's going to want it. Yeah, nobody will want it because of the fact that he's not in. And the funny thing is, you don't even know what uniform would be good because he's going to be a free agent again. So the only people that might want it is like a diehard Astros fan, but it's literally only worth a couple bucks anyway. Oh, I didn't know there was one pack I didn't open, the famous silver packs that they added to these. Because Topps had a problem with their production line this year, and there were some issues with the cards. So now they give these silver packs that are supposed to have something cool in them, potentially. See if my silver pack has anything good. Nope. Whole lot of nothing. Useless. Just garbage. Just absolute. What a garbage box. God. Now I got to talk about the Yankees losing in a sweep, too. I'm in a real good mood right now. In this hour of the show, you will hear from Bill Belichick, the head coach of the New England Patriots. That ought to be an illuminating conversation. An illuminating press conference with Bill Belichick after a 33-14 loss. You'll also hear from Mac Jones, who is taken to the podium. That's coming up as well. We'll get to the baseball, too. Another hour of the cash-in right now on SportsMap Radio. Oh, Kenny Albert liked my tweet. How nice of him. Oh, Kenny Albert followed me on Twitter, too. That's cool. Yeah. Somewhat. Oh, I don't care. That stuff doesn't bother me. Two hillbillies in Texas harassing me about the Yankees getting swept by the Astros? That's not gonna bother me. Hey man, save the planet. Tree hugging liberal there. I hope I'm going to be coming to Houston. I hope I get to meet you guys Final Four weekend, because there's some talk about me My short-term memory is really screwed up bad. All right. All right, what does it sound like to be on the losing end of a 33-14 rout in Monday Night Football to the Bears? Well, find out now. There's Patriots head coach Bill Belichick at the podium.
Well, it's obviously a poor performance tonight. We were badly outcoached, outplayed. Just didn't do anything well enough in the game to have a chance to win or deserve to win. The Bears did a good job. Totally controlled the game in all three phases. So, we got obviously a lot of work to do here, and need to perform a lot better than that. Need to compete better than that and perform better than that. It's not any one thing. Just collectively, it's all of us, and we just have to all perform better. Simple as that. So, that's where we're at. It's not about any one player, one coach, one thing. Just collectively, we just got to perform better. So that's what we'll work toward doing this week.
Bill, did the Bears do anything to surprise you tonight? Because except for a couple of occasions, it seemed the defense had no answers whatsoever for Fields or the receivers.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of answers for anything. So. We didn't play well in the kicking game. We didn't play well in defense. We didn't play well on offense. Obviously, we didn't coach well. So you just pick whatever you want. You say the same about every phase of our game.
Bill, I believe you told ESPN that the intention was to play both quarterbacks in this game. Was that because of Mac Jones' health?
Yeah, that was a factor. Yes.
Stacey. Bill, who is the starting quarterback?
Yeah, we just finished the game.
So when Mac came out of the game, Bill, was that a medical decision, the timing of the
No.
Bullingham. So was that related to the interception? That was his last play tonight.
No, we had planned to play. I told the quarterbacks that we were gonna play both of them. So we did.
And so was the plan for 3 series? It just seems when his last play's an interception, it looks like a benching for performance.
That's not what it was, but you can write whatever you want to write. That's not what it was.
Bill, was Mac Jones aware that he would only play part of the game?
Yes.
Joe Chiara?
At what point in the week did these guys know at the beginning of the week that this was the plan all week long, or like how did it work out with reps at practice?
We went through the week.
So they were aware of the situation that they were going to split reps?
We went through the week of practice. Mac wasn't active last week.
This is great. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. I intentionally left my mic on. I mean, Belmer, you listen. I mean, my God. Belichick just does not want to be in this room right now. He's like, just let me go. We just got our butts kicked by a bad football team that can't get out of its own way. We gave up 33 to Justin Fields. Can you just let me go already? Can we get more of this, please?
Bill, was there any consideration toward putting Mac Jones back into the game as the game went on, or was the decision to stick with Bailey after the 3rd series sort of set in stone?
No, he would have gone back in. The score got out of hand. So I didn't think that was the right thing to do.
And Bill, just going forward, as you have the Jets coming up next, do you see a situation where you might go one quarterback one week and one the next and have kind of a platoon situation, or are you going to start one quarterback each week?
Yeah. No, I don't see that.
Bill, do you think Mac got enough work tonight to have confidence if he has to play against the Jets next week?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, it doesn't get any better than Bill Belichick, does it? I mean, that's just great. That is just a vintage Bill off of a loss. That bent out of shape. All right, what did Mac Jones have to say? Let's listen in.
Mac, when did you know that you were going to be the starting quarterback tonight?
Yeah, I think we had a good plan as always, just to go throughout the week and figure out what we want to do for the game. And Coach Belichick was very good about communication and felt like I was good to play. And we had a good plan there, and just obviously didn't play well enough there. And yeah.
Is it difficult to be the best you, though, when you know that the plan was to include 2 quarterbacks playing tonight?
Honestly, like I always say, I just try to control what I can control, and that's my attitude and my effort. That's something that I've done since high school, and obviously I need to be able to play better, and we do as a team as well, so I just got to lead the team and do that.
Hey, Mac. Mac?
Oh, hey, sorry.
No worries. How deflating was it to hear the zappy chants almost after every series or every time you touched the ball?
Yeah, I think obviously, like I said earlier, definitely wanted to play better, and I just got to do better at my job, and that's all it comes down to, and that's all I can control. And honestly, we got a good chance here to go against the Jets, and that's kind of what I'm already focused on. So, like I said, I'm going to do my best to put my best foot forward, and I've been in this situation before, and I'm just going to try and help the team, and whatever my role is, I'll be ready, and I'll give it 100%.
Hey, Mac, over here. Do you anticipate starting on Sunday against the Jets?
I guess when Sunday comes, we'll know. I just, like I said, want to become a better player and prepare like I always prepare and put the hours in every day. My schedule doesn't change, and I'm just going to continue to do that, and hopefully the results will take care of themselves. There's some things you can't control, and I'm just going to control, like I said, my attitude and my effort, and come in early, stay late, and do my job.
Nick Romelli on the left.
Mac, were you surprised at the timing of Bailey being put in the game? Did you know the third series was going to be your last one?
Like I said, I think, Coach Belichick, had a really good plan for us, and obviously that's kind of internal stuff, but I understood the plan and what was going to happen, and obviously wish we got off to a better start and I played a little bit better, but I'll have a chance to, practice and get back into my routine. Something that I want to work on is just getting back into my routine. I'm a very routine person, and I'm excited for this week, and that's all you can do, right? You can't really look back in the past, and obviously the game, wasn't good by any of us, and starts with me.
Boy, not for nothing. I listen to Mac Jones. I don't mean to be too harsh on this kid because he is just a kid. That does not sound like a leader of men at all. And there isn't anything I heard from him in that press conference that makes me walk away going, yeah, I'm confident in that kid. He sounded like a scared little puppy in that press conference. That's a tough, wow. Belichick, I expect to get nothing out of. And I get Mac Jones, and these guys have been trained by the Patriots organization to basically say nothing. It's like a CIA interrogation. Give them nothing. But I don't hear anything from Mac Jones that makes me feel confident in him. If I'm the other guys in that locker room and I watch that press conference, there's no way you think of that guy and think, yeah, that's our leader. That's my guy. No way. Patriots are 3-4. You know what the funny part is? If you told me, do I think they beat the Jets next week? I say yes. But maybe, again, we're going on reputations that we need to start throwing out the door. We're back with Kenny Albert. Fox on NFL and NHL on TNT next. Wow. Yeah, this time we'll get it right. We do continue on this Monday edition of the program. Of course, you could always be involved in the show. The phone number 800-224-2004. It's probably Brady. I think it's probably Brady. Yeah, I think so. Hey, Papa Dukes. Almost done, Papa. Show's almost over. My dog is just livid right now. Oh, Bailey Zappi was the first press conference? Really? Damn, I missed that.
How would you describe what your understanding of the plan?
What'd you say? No. I get the Patriots YouTube channel has live press conference stuff right after the game. And I think every NFL team does it. At least a lot of them do. Yeah. I am like a little mini control center here. We don't mess around. Same. But I'd be lying if I We do continue on this Monday edition of the program. Of course, you could always be involved in the show. The phone number 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Tweet at us as well at the back page. One of the guys I love talking to is, play-by-play guys are, a lot of them are all kind of the same. And so I don't generally get a lot of play-by-play guys on, but one guy I've basically followed for a long time and love his work, especially having grown up on the East Coast, is Kenny Albert, who does a terrific job. You can catch him on Fox Sports on the NFL broadcast. He also does a great job with the Rangers on the radio side, which he's been doing for 100 years, and also on the NHL on TNT as well. So, there's all sorts of places. Chances are, if you turn on a sporting event one night during the week, Kenny Albert will be doing something on it, and he joins us on the program tonight. Kenny, always appreciate it. Thank you for giving me some time. I'm lucky that you're on a day off and kind of in between, the game you did on Sunday and I guess the game you'll do on Tuesday maybe for the Rangers. Let's talk about the game you witnessed on Sunday. Tampa Bay losing on the road in Carolina. It had everyone scratching their heads. What did you see from your perch on top of the field?
Well, Jason, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it. It is a busy time of the year, as you alluded to, with football and hockey, the overlap, and I do some basketball as well for MSG, about 15 Knicks games. So it is the crazy time of the year. As far as yesterday's game in Charlotte, I think most people were expecting a Tampa Bay Buccaneers victory. It's funny, I was joking with my partner, Jonathan Vilma, before the game, and we've said this for years. We get to sit down with players and coaches from both sides on Friday and Saturday, and we do our homework and our research all week, and you think things might go one way, and inevitably it usually goes the other way. And that was the case yesterday. Who would have thought that the Panthers would win that game 21-3 over the Bucs? I don't think you could probably count on one hand the amount of people that would have predicted that final score. Now, you talk about momentum at the start of a game and how quickly things can change. If Mike Evans makes the catch on the opening drive, he was wide open, and the ball bounced off his hands a couple of times and fell to the ground. That would have been an easy score. And if that takes place early in the game for Tampa Bay, who knows? Maybe they go on and win the game, 28-3, 28-7. But you have to give the Panthers a lot of credit. They've gone through so much adversity the last 2 weeks, the coaching change, the trades of Robbie Anderson and Christian McCaffrey. And they came out defensively. They played really well. And P.J. Walker managed the game. He was efficient. A couple of big runs from his two backs, Hubbard and Foreman. DJ Moore had his best game of the year, and all of a sudden the 2-5 Panthers are a game out of first place.
It's wild, and it's got to be, you get to talk to players, you get to talk to the key players, you get to talk to the coaches. Was there anything when you talked to Tom Brady before this game? Was there anything that you gleaned from that conversation, one way or another, that kind of gave you an idea of where he was in terms of his headspace?
Well, in talking to Tom on a Zoom, which we do on occasion these days over the last 2 or 3 years, as well as Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator, and a couple of other players, you could sense some of the frustration from all of them as far as what's taken place over the first 6 and now 7 games of the season. But as Byron Leftwich said to us, look, we're a much different team than we were 2 years ago on the offensive line with the retirement of Ali Marpet and the Ryan Jensen injury. And as Leftwich said, we don't have Antonio Brown, we don't have Gronk. So it's not the 2020 Tampa Bay Buccaneers that we're looking at. Now, they still have the terrific receivers, Evans and Godwin, of course. Brady put up, he threw somewhere around 50 passes yesterday, close to 300 yards. And again, if the pass to Evans connects and he goes in for an easy touchdown, I think we're talking about a whole different story. But you could sense the level of frustration. I guess somewhat similar to 2020 when they started off 3-2 and then 6-4. They had their ups and downs, and then they went on that run by winning the last 4 regular season games and obviously winning all the games in the postseason. But in this division, who knows? At the snap of a finger, maybe Tampa Bay goes on a roll. And now I know the schedule is tough. They have Baltimore this Thursday, and they have to travel to Germany in a couple of weeks. But nobody wants to run away with this division. You have the Falcons at 3-4, the Buccaneers at 3-4, Saints and Panthers both 2-5. So there's a crazy scenario where if Tampa Bay loses Thursday and Carolina beats Atlanta, the Panthers are tied for first place at 3-5. So who knows?
Kenny Albert, Fox NFL, NHL play-by-play voice as well. At the risk of making you a headline on some website tomorrow around the sports media world, I'll ask you based on the game you did see with Brady on Sunday. Did he look like a 45-year-old quarterback? Meaning, is this just an exercise sort of in futility at this point? Or did you see something in watching him play from a physical standpoint that tells you he could still play at this high level, and it's not necessarily him that's the problem?
I think he can still play at a high level. You mentioned the age, and we put up some numbers at the start of the game. It's incredible. Since turning 40, he's thrown 199 touchdown passes. He has over 70 wins. So it's just remarkable, what he's been able to do, even at 40 through 45 at this point. They might get Ryan Jensen back soon. They were rotating the left guard with the rookie Gedeke, in and out along with Leverett. So, that's certainly been an issue. The offensive line, that's been well documented. Looks like he's been getting rid of the ball quicker just because of the situation up front. But no, from what I saw yesterday, he certainly can still play at a high level. And I think he targeted Evans and Godwin about 30 times combined. And they both had, aside from the drop, they both had real strong games. So, again, it's a long season. I think 2 years ago, like I referenced a minute ago, Jason, I think some of these same questions were being asked about the Buccaneers, and then they went on that tear towards the end of the season.
You've seen plenty of teams this year. Matter of fact, I don't think you've had any repeats yet, if I'm not mistaken. Looking at
we've now had Carolina twice.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you had them against Arizona.
I think I'm trying to think. We had Detroit twice. Well. We had Detroit, New England, and Detroit, Washington early in the season.
Yeah, it was kind of fun.
7 weeks, so we've seen 12 different teams.
Yeah,
in 7 weeks.
It was kind of fun because I was going through your schedule and thinking about all the miles you've logged flying around. I was looking at all.
And it gets worse the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
it's been a cakewalk so far. But the next few weeks with the overlap, you don't even want to know the itinerary.
Nah, I would imagine. I picture you sometimes being on the air, and I've done play-by-play, so I could just imagine when you're throwing to break, just throwing to the wrong thing. Like, oh, you're listening to the Rangers radio network, like when you're doing a Knicks game or you're doing a football game or something, or a game on TNT.
There's 1 week in a couple of weeks. There's an LA, Edmonton, San Francisco within the stretch of 5 days. So at least that's all somewhat west, but there have been some crazy ones through the years.
I'm sure it is. Talking with Kenny Albert, Fox NFL, NHL play-by-play voice with the Rangers, also on TNT. Who do you have this week, by the way?
We have Atlanta, Carolina, so we'll get to see Carolina again. We have Atlanta now 2 straight weeks. We have Atlanta Panthers and then Atlanta Chargers. And then we head west for the Rams in Arizona.
And Atlanta's been
all these games, obviously major impact with Atlanta tied for first and the Chargers above 500. Then we have the Rams the next week. So should be some interesting games.
Kenny, people thought Atlanta were going to be prolifically bad this year. And they've surprised people. I know yesterday wasn't their best game, obviously, in Cincinnati, where the Bengals hung up 1 million points on them, and Joe Burrow went off and finally played one of those games you're expecting from Joe Burrow. But Atlanta's been a lot better and extremely competitive. Not that you get into the betting side of it, but, they've covered, up until this week, they had covered every game, which means they've surprised some people.
They have. And we had them the first week. They had a 16-point lead over the Saints in the fourth quarter and lost. So, they were certainly down after that one, but they did come back with a couple of big wins, some surprising wins. And, these division games are always a battle. So we'll have them against Carolina this week, and then the Charger game should be interesting. I haven't seen the Chargers in person in about 8 years now, given that they're in the AFC. And, these days we do see more AFC teams on Fox, but that wasn't necessarily the case, prior to the last couple of years. So, no, you're right about Atlanta. They've been somewhat of a surprise.
You've been doing Rangers games on the radio for damn near 30 years, which seems impossible. Expectations exist for this team that haven't existed in quite a while. People think of them as a Stanley Cup contender. How have they responded thus far in the early going?
Well, you're right. The fact that it's close to 30 years is hard to believe. Started in the 95-96 season. 18 years with my current partner, Dave Maloney. They are certainly, in most people's opinion, a Stanley Cup contender. They had a great year last year. Went to the conference final, as you know, lost to Tampa Bay in 6, had a 2-0 lead. They came back from 3-1 down against Pittsburgh. They won a Game 7 in Carolina. And the goaltender, a huge reason why, Igor Shesterkin, who won the Vezina last year. They have a great young defense core. They have superstars up front, young players, improving each and every year. So it's a fun team to watch. They've stumbled a bit over the last 2 games against San Jose and then Columbus last night. But it's a big week, and looking forward to the 2 games. I'll have the radio call tomorrow against Colorado, the defending champs, and then along with Eddie Olczyk and Keith Jones, we have the Rangers Islanders on TNT Wednesday night. So it should be a fun couple of days.
How have you enjoyed the TNT stuff?
It's been great. A lot of the people that moved over to TNT were over at NBC, so many of us work together, but it's such a fun crew. Eddie and Jonesy are great to work with. We went through the Western Conference Final last year. We'll do the Stanley Cup Final this year, which we're all really looking forward to. And then having the studio crew out on the road during the playoffs and opening week this year with Wayne Gretzky and the entire gang, that's just a lot of fun. And, NBC did such an unbelievable job. I'm biased because I was there for 10 or 12 years covering hockey. They really raised the bar. They were the first network in the United States that put every playoff game on TV. They introduced the outdoor games and the inside the glass position, which led to about 30 or 40 jobs around the league. And then with the new deals with Turner and ESPN, both looking to raise the bar even higher. So it's off to a good start this year. We should have a great game on Wednesday, and it's a terrific group to work with.
Kenny Albert does a terrific job. Fox, NFL, NHL on TNT, the Rangers radio, the Knicks on MSG. I don't know. Probably left something out, but that's all right. He's got plenty of gigs to keep him busy. Kenny, I always
might try and find a curling match somewhere next week.
I'm telling you, man, I can't even imagine logging all the frequent flyer miles. But listen, it's always good to catch up with you. I like to do it once in a while. I know you're really busy, so I try not to bother you too much during the season. So I really appreciate you coming on for a few, and hopefully we get to do it again down the line.
Thanks, Jason. Anytime. Really appreciate it.
We're back with more of the Cash In on SportsMap Radio in a moment. Do you love fantasy sports? Well, if you do, what are you waiting for? Time to check out Jock MKT. Jock MKT offers live daily markets for sports that lets you buy and sell shares of athletes in real time with other users, all for real money, and each share is a guaranteed payout at the end of the night. Instead of trading stocks, you know, Intel, and Microsoft, and Apple, and well, bid on shares before the games in our IPO phase. Trade shares while the games are happening. All shares with a guaranteed payout at the end of the night. They're currently live in 36 states. More to come. NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, PGA, and NASCAR. Just head over to the Jock MKT app or go to jockmkt.com and deposit with code CASHIN to receive 100% deposit match up to $100. Your first market will also be risk-free with losses refunded up to $100. And here's what we're doing for the rest of this month for first-time depositors here on the Cash In. We're giving away $100. I am giving away $100. It's a one lucky first-time user that uses my promo code CASHIN. Here's what you do. Make your first deposit using my promo code, then direct message me a screenshot on Twitter at the back page. You do that, you're entered to win $100. We're going to be doing the draw, the winner on Halloween night here on the show, but you have to make your first deposit using my promo code CASHIN and send me the screenshot. You do that, you're entered to win $100. We'll give it away again on Halloween night. All right. If you miss anything from the show, check it out on the Cash In with Jason Page podcast. It's available on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. You also, if you miss anything from the show, you can go check out the replays over on Twitch, Jason Page 77, the Decibel 88 page over on YouTube, the Decibel 88 page over on Facebook, or on Twitter at the back page. All of those things are available. Before we go, quick note, Sam Ehlinger, the new starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, Frank Reich, making that announcement on Monday. The Jets trade with the Jaguars for James Robinson, gets them some added depth in the running game. Obviously, they lost their running back on Sunday, so that's a big move for the Jets. We're back tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Good job, John Belmer. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I'm Jason Page, the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Bye! I'm sending you the podcast info because I hate these generic titles on the podcast, and it drives me friggin' bonkers. So I'm just sending you the podcast info right now. This is the title. And then description. We're breaking down the activity around the NFL. What the league wants. We're dissecting the MLB LCSs. I'm talking NFL and NHL with the man. Yeah. All right, I just texted you the description, the title for the podcast, and the description. All right, cool. Thank you, my man. Have a good night. Okay. Nice job tonight. Thank you. Be well. Bye-bye. All right. To our friends watching on the video stream, thanks for checking it out tonight. If anybody's a Washington Nationals fan and wants some Washington Nationals autographs, let me know, because I drew 2 of them tonight, and I'm not a big Nationals fan. We got that one, and we got that one. Yeah, not very good. Josiah Gray and Francisco Perez. So, everybody have a great night. We'll catch you back here on Tuesday night. Stay safe. Bye.